There it was, a big carved wooden sign on the alley door with the words "The Shed" daubed in large white letters over the name "Sea View." He searched for a bell, tried the door handle, which came off in his hand, and spotted a toilet chain hanging from an ironwork bracket with a ceramic toggle reading "Pull." He pulled and heard the distant clang of bells. Nothing happened. He pulled again, twice, and went round to try the front entrance. There were 3 bell pushes, none apparently connected, and a big brass knocker, a pair of knockers, you might say, in the shape of a mermaid. He lifted the siren politely by her tail and was just about to bring her down with a wallop on the scallop-shaped plate when he heard a loud halloo from the alley. "Come out, invisible man, wherever you are." The voice was so resonant it made him jump. He tripped backwards down the step and dusted off his dignity by producing his ID card. "Hank Dewberry, Haringey Planning Department. We've received a complaint about a temporary structure at the back of this residential premises being used for a commercial purpose. Are you the householder?" "The shed holder," said the man, "Pat Phelan," and held out his hand. Dewberry looked him over. His clothes were as peculiar as his tradesman's entrance. "I'd expect you'd like a look." The man cleared his throat with a theatrical flourish. "You better come through." As he led the way down the side alley, the sound of a male-voiced choir floated over the garden. "I've got the Red Army Choir performing in there," he explained, waving towards the open door of a large wooden cabin. "I'll ask them to pipe down politely." And he hurried into the shed and turned the music off. Dewberry got out a camera and a notebook, took a couple of photos and scribbled some notes. It was an ambitious structure, not your usual self-build job. But although it filled the bottom end of the garden, he could tell at once, without needing to measure, that it was within the permitted dimensions for temporary structures. The question was, what was going on inside? "It's a shed and a half, isn't it?" said Phelan, appearing at the door. "Come on in and have a look around." This was not the sort of reception Dewberry was used to, and it made him uncomfortable. He could feel his mask of professional composure slipping. The complainant had mentioned large canvases, and there was a stack of them leaning up against the wall opposite the entrance with the top one facing outwards. Dewberry squinted at it. The picture was a swirling mass of light and colour, but he had absolutely no idea what it was of. Were those sheets hanging on a line, or ghostly apparitions? Whatever they were not a business proposition. Who in their right mind would pay money for that? There was a smaller canvas on the easel that looked equally messy, but what caught Dewberry's attention were 2 little pictures propped on a shelf above the big canvas to the right of the door. One was of a street of coloured houses leading uphill, the other of a river with bridges that looked like Paris. With both of them you could tell what they were, and even to Dewberry's untutored eye their styles were different. The 2 paintings were obviously by different people, and when he went over to look, the signatures said so. The Paris one was legible. It said Marquet. The other one with the hill he couldn't decipher. It looked a bit like flamingo without the O. "These yours?" he asked. The man looked sheepish. "They're copies. Copies of paintings by famous artists I've been asked to make for a collector who can't afford the real thing. When he painted this picture," he pointed at the houses, "Maurice de Vlaminck couldn't give 'em away. Now they go for tens of millions." So that was his name. Dewberry had never heard of him. But then he'd never heard of half the artists whose pictures were said to be worth millions in the papers when they were stolen from galleries. A suspicion was forming in his mind. "We've had reports of people coming and going." Phelan raised both arms and gestured around the shed like a conjurer, as if to prove it was empty. "Quiet as the grave. I'm a solitary soul." He was lying. The neighbour had reported seeing gangs of people carrying pictures out of the place and receiving payment. Dewberry had stumbled on something bigger than a planning issue. This was a matter for the police.